I am no analyst. I'm just a mere podcaster. But if I had to guess, if I had to make a prediction, I would say that by the year 2030, Tether will probably own more US treasuries than China, and perhaps more Bitcoin than the United States of America.
I mean, they already own more treasuries and Bitcoin than Germany, but that's not saying much on the Bitcoin side of things.
It really is not, because everyone in this room owns more Bitcoin than Germany. I'm sorry for dunking on Germany so much today. I love my German Bitcoiners. Up next, we have a fireside chat with Paolo Ardoino, CEO of Tether, and Brandon Lutnick, chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald.
Please give them a very big welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Everyone. What a nice background.
It's great, actually.
Our design team is just impressive. All right, so thank you everyone for being here. It's a big pleasure to have here with us today Brandon, a good friend, also the chairman, the new chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald. And I think this chat is very important because it's kind of the culmination of a story that started a few years ago and brought together a company like Tether, coming from the digital assets and Bitcoin world, with Cantor Fitzgerald, that is one of the most renowned financial institutions of the United States. So, Brandon, how are you? Can you tell us a little bit of your story, the story of your family and your company?
Thank you, Paolo. It's really, really nice to be here. I'm not a day one Bitcoiner or Tether supporter, but when I joined, I think we joined hard, and this is my third Plan B. Lugano's become a second home to me a little bit because of you, so I appreciate you there. And I'm just super excited to be here. And guys, if you didn't know, Paolo's birthday was 2 days ago, so happy birthday, Paolo.
Thank you. Thank you.
He looks amazing. He looks amazing. No, so look, I'd love to give you guys a little bit more color on Cantor Fitzgerald. Cantor Fitzgerald was founded in 1945 by Bernie Cantor, who I'm actually named after. And Bernie became the mentor to my father, Howard Lutnick. And my father worked at Cantor for 40 years, and he ran Cantor for 30. And my father had a motto, which was, you spend so much time at work, you should work with the people you love. So hire your friends. So he had a motto that was, you have a rainbow of friends. On one side of the rainbow, you have friends that are so funny, they're so great, they make you laugh so hard at a bar that you spit out your beer. On the other side of the rainbow, you have your smart, normal, great friends. So let's hire those ones at the firm, right? And that was true for him all the way to the bottom of the firm. So my dad hired his brother Gary, his best friend Doug, his roommate from college's brother, you name it. And that's what made September 11, 2001 so devastating. 9/11, when the planes hit the towers, it was the largest terrorist attack in world history. Almost 3,000 people died that day. 658 of those people were our Cantor Fitzgerald friends and family. Everyone in the building that day passed away. Cantor was located on the 101st to 105th floor of the World Trade Center. Very lucky. My father wasn't in the building because he was taking my brother Kyle, who's in the crowd here somewhere, to his first day of kindergarten. So thank you, Kyle. We lost almost 700 people. And the firm was about 2,000 employees globally. So you can imagine how devastating that was. I mean, you losing almost 40% of your company, but all these people you know and loved and you cared about. But that didn't stop my father. He promised to rebuild the company and take care of all the families in the process. He promised 25% of all of his profits to go back to the families. And he ended up giving the families $180 million over the next 10 years. And he has we created a standing job offer for all of the kids of those families at Cantor. So we've had about 200 kids come and go, and about 30-ish work at the firm today. And again, on 9/11, the firm was about 2,000 employees globally. Today we're 14,000, and we're having our best year ever. And it's really across 3 companies. The first one is Newmark, which is public. It's the third largest real estate commercial brokerage firm. Second one is BGC, which is the largest wholesale exchange. And the final one is Cantor. Cantor being a leading premier private investment bank. And that means a lot to me and us because we're private. So what that allows us to do is really just skate to where the puck is going. If you think about the crypto world and you think about the last 5 years, it wasn't loved, right? The arms weren't open to Tether, to Bitcoin, to the world. But because we are private, Cantor saw the future, realized how special the digital world could be, and we committed to it. There's no bureaucracy, there's no hoops to jump through. When we really want to commit to a space, we can commit. And that's been a huge thing for us. And I'm super excited to be here next to you, Paolo.
Thank you for that. And I think the thing that I think is important to underline here is the story of resilience, right? The one of your family and your company. So I think it's important for people to hear to know that because what of course your family went through was dramatic, but you got back on track and you were able to raise again. And it's also a story like resilience is one of the most important features of the Bitcoin industry. It's like resilient against all type of attacks. We suffered as an industry, as Bitcoiners, a lot. So hearing personal stories, I think, is always important. But also we are here in Lugano. First question, which one is your favorite restaurant in Lugano? Second is, how better is the food in Lugano than in New York? And third, what is your story? What is your relationship with Lugano?
I think I have no choice but to say Gabbani as the best restaurant in Lugano.
Good.
I think I've had every single item on that menu, and I've probably had steak with you there maybe over 100 times. So love that place. I would say the food here is great, but do not bash my New York food, please. We may not be true Italians, but we make it our own. Maybe a little greasier. I don't know the answer. But New York food is great. But Lugano's been great. I came here years ago when I actually knew nothing about the digital world, and I came here to learn about came here to meet Paolo and hang out with Paolo. Learn from this brilliant Tether team, and my goal was to learn about Tether. And Paolo said to me, you don't really need to know about Tether yet. You just need to understand Bitcoin. And that was all we did. Everyone, the whole team taught me Bitcoin, and really orange-pilled me. And that was a huge moment for me because what happened was I brought that back to Cantor, to Wall Street. And Cantor became the place really trying to bridge traditional finance with the digital world, with DeFi. And, I think one of my favorite lines is just because you put the letters DE in front of finance doesn't change that it's finance. And we're leaders in the finance world, so I think that allows us to have a really unique position in the DeFi world, especially during the time when no other real players would commit. I've traveled the world to these crypto conferences with you, Paolo, and every single conference, we're really the only bank that's there. And I think that speaks volumes to us. And again, we're really trying to bridge the world between TradFi and DeFi. We hired investment bankers, in 21. We hired dedicated research analysts in 22. We throw our own conference. We're throwing it next month in Miami, which Paolo is going to be, the superstar keynote of. And we have, other Bitcoin initiatives that we're working on that you'll hear more about, as time goes on. But again, it's really trying to bridge the digital world and the traditional world. But speaking of going to great places, Paolo, you actually came to America for your first time this year. New York, the greatest city on earth, no bias there, and Washington, D.C. So my question for you now, your favorite restaurant in New York, your favorite activity you did in New York, and what you thought of Washington, D.C.
All right, so yes, I'm 41 now. I was 40 just a few days ago. And the first time I went to the United States in my life, entire life, was the 2nd of March 2025. So I landed in DC and had the opportunity to talk to lawmakers and regulators, and explain Bitcoin, explain Tether, bringing facts, bringing knowledge. It was very important. I think I was welcomed with open arms much more than what I thought I would be. Then I had the opportunity to go to New York. I had a good dinner in Carbone. I must say that the food that is not there is not bad. Also, I went to, being now 40, and I grew up in the 80s and 90s as an Italian. Most of my life has been most of my life I've been watching movies coming out from the United States. So when I went to the new World Trade Center, I was on the top, I was looking around, I was seeing skyscrapers, and I saw one, and I could relate it, I remembered that skyscraper from Ghostbusters, and was the Empire State Building. So that is my knowledge of New York. And then I went to Central Park with Bridget and Aaron. I went to the Natural History Museum. I like dinosaurs and all the animals. So that was very, very fun and entertaining trip as well. And I must say that New York is a beautiful city. Then I spent some time in Charlotte. I spent some time in Las Vegas, a bit chaotic for me. So I'm much more for simple things, and then a couple other cities. But I must say that it's the United States is I can understand now why it's called the land of opportunity, because there is that although a lot was built, there is still opportunity for good innovators and for free thinkers. That's why I'm very grateful that we had the opportunity to think about our main product, USDT, in the context of the United States. We announced in September USAT, that is led by Bo Hines, and is in partnership with Anchorage. Anchorage is the issuer of USAT. Bo is around here. He's a great guy. He's going to drive the product with high success. But most importantly, he's a Bitcoiner. So everything that we do at Tether, and this is the importance of Plan B, is we want to bring back and we want to continue to carry forward the ethos and the philosophy of Bitcoin, how we can protect freedom, financial freedom, freedom of speech, making sure that we can create environments that are resilient, technology that is resilient, and that's what we plan to do also in the United States. We have our partners also here in Rumble. Rumble is going to launch a wallet very soon that will carry forward USAT and USDT adoption, Tether Gold adoption, and especially Bitcoin adoption, and with Lightning integrated into one of the most popular streaming platform, video streaming platforms in the United States, with 51 million active users per month. So the first opportunity that we have as Tether and with our partners to do something is about launching a Bitcoin wallet with a Bitcoin savings account and with a checking account that is stablecoins to give, to help fostering the creators economy, the digital economy that is anyway super fast growing in the United States. So every time for every market, I'm very grateful to have entered the United States market in 2025 and not in 2014, right? So I feel like now after all the learnings that we had in all the emerging markets and seeing Argentina, Turkey, Vietnam, Nigeria, and Indonesia and etc., then we were prepared to understand also how our technology could scale from the countries and the regions that have the lowest efficiency in terms of financial rails to the region that is the United States, where the financial rails are almost perfect. So what does it mean to build a technology infrastructure, wallet infrastructure, or a payment infrastructure in a country like the United States, where almost everything is perfect in terms of financial rails? So you have to think about that, right? It's not a marketing exercise that we're doing. It's actually a fully scientific approach to enter a new market, and that's why I'm very excited to put myself and the entire team at Tether a challenge for that.
Definitely. Look, I think USAT is going to be an incredible initiative. And that's what makes me so excited for Tether too. I mean, already, the world's greatest crypto company on earth, if not one of the greatest companies on earth, and without even real perfect US penetration, if that's not what A+ potential is, I don't know. And Cantor is one of 25 US primary dealers, so we will be custodying all the USAT assets, like we custody already a lot of the USDT assets, which I'm always excited to work with you again. But I think it's just the beginning for the United States of America, and you're going to see a lot of real TradFi companies catch up to what Cantor's been trying to do. Cantor launched a Bitcoin lending initiative, which, in my opinion, is low-hanging fruit. We were just trying to bring real credibility to the space as a real classic institution. I mean, I'm in a suit at Plan B, so I'm trying to bring that credibility. We raised $40 billion for crypto companies last year, and we were, a friend to you guys launching 21 Capital, which was super exciting. And we also launched a gold-backed Bitcoin fund to really help, investors that still don't know, perfectly about Bitcoin or still feel a little nervous about it to get more comfortable with the asset. And I think it's been, an incredibly, incredibly exciting time to, be here, be a Plan B, and be next to you, Paolo. And speaking of incredibly exciting times, you guys had an amazing announcement today, I saw. You guys you want to talk a little bit about QVAC?
Yeah, around 1 hour and 11 minutes ago, we launched our new product called QVAC, that is a local AI platform. The term QVACs come from my preferred author, that is Isaac Asimov, is one of the most prolific authors in sci-fi in history. And QVAC is a soon-to-be open-source platform that aims to bring the execution, the inference, and the fine-tuning of artificial intelligence models directly on any device, from embedded devices to any smartphone. We launched today the Android app, but also in the next couple of days we are going to have also the iOS app. You can already download all the macOS, Windows, Linux applications. You can run the most famous models like Llama, Medgemma, Whisper, and small VLM and others directly on your smartphone or on your laptop. We want to prove that the more the time will pass in the next years, more and more the on-device GPUs will become extremely efficient. And so for 90%, I predict that in the next 5 years, for more than 90% of the use cases of AI, you can run them locally, maintaining your privacy, preserving your independence. As I say multiple times, there is a concept, as we all love Bitcoin, not your keys, not your coins. There is a concept on not your AI, not your intelligence. I think not knowing what is behind the scenes of your or the models that you are executing with your own data, and you're feeding your own data to these models is going to be very detrimental to our freedom and our privacy. I think that we are going to see that more and more, and it will be one of the biggest societal challenges in the history of humanity. And so we wanted to prove to the world that as for cloud, you don't need cloud for 99% of the use cases, yet we use cloud for 100% of the time. But really, you need cloud only as a backup, not as a connector among people. Internet is built and was built from the beginning to be peer-to-peer, and we believe that also AI should be peer-to-peer. We should not have master, we should not have people and big tech companies that intermediate our intelligence, because that's how we become dumber as a society rather than more intelligent. And then on top of that, we launched today and we open sourced already is available the largest pre-training data set that is available on Hugging Face that can be used to build models that are already exceeding the performance and the quality of the largest open source other pre-training data sets. So that is an exercise that Tether will continue to do. We will continue to advance open source AI initiatives so that more and more we can bring AI towards the people that have harder access and will have harder access in the future to have to artificial intelligence, right? So the point of USDT and point of Bitcoin was always how we can bring the same opportunities to people that live in countries that have, or in communities that have been left behind by the traditional system, in the case of USDT and Bitcoin, by the traditional financial system. But as Bitcoin and USDT and Tether, other Tether products, aim to bring forward and help the part of humanity that is underserved from the financial side, there will be a part of humanity that will be underserved on the intelligence side, if you want, right, if you will. And so how we can create tools that everyone can use independently if you're rich or poor, and can run your smartphone, can protect yourself, can protect your data, can protect your kids, can protect your family from being exploited. And so that's everything we think about in Tether in the future, and that's basically most of the technology we are focusing on today. So that's something that we're very excited about. Thank you. And so where do you think Bitcoin will be in the next 5 years?
Oh, don't ask me to make the prediction. That's,
yeah.
I don't know about, no, I think the next evolution is just more common acceptance and acknowledgement that Bitcoin is the greatest commodity on earth. It's freely tradable, and there's a finite amount of it, which I think we all know here, and we need to keep spreading the good word in, and that's all Cantor's trying to do in America, in the Wall Street world. And I think as that becomes more widely accepted, more liquidity to the asset, I think there is no ceiling. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm in my suit and tie in Switzerland, because I really care about this. Cantor really cares about this, and we really want to be a core part of the ecosystem.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's clear that in the end we were right. I think that 2024 was the first big year for institutional adoption of Bitcoin with the first ETFs, but I think we are still also early. There is a lot of still skeptics in the world. I still meet a lot of funds, a lot of companies that are afraid of touch Bitcoin with a 10-foot pole. There is a time for everyone. I think that it's always bad to take a step if you are not ready. But it's clear how Bitcoin is becoming more and more a hedge against all the darkness that is happening in the world, and doesn't hurt to study it, to educate, to understand it. I think as an industry, and also from the institutional point of view, we need to do a better job in making it more accessible in a certain way. I think it's important that everyone here, I know that many of you have startups or already very well off companies, but one downside that I'm seeing still today after so many years in the Bitcoin industry is the user experience didn't improve that much in the last 5 years. I think we should do a much better job, because actually 99% of the population in the world does not have the time that we all have, or most of all of us have here, to understand Bitcoin, to study, to protect their Bitcoin, and so on. So how we can help them to get on board and get comfortable in owning Bitcoin. So that's the thing that I'm mostly excited about. How is the real Bitcoin adoption in the future? I think either comes gradually over time, or there will be a crazy event that will force Bitcoin adoption, and that's how change usually happen, through some global events that will push more and more people immediately to adopt something. And so I would like technology and user experience to be ready for all of them, for people that really need to do a leap of faith today, because they are not geeks, they are not techies. So this is, I think, as something very important for all of us to think about, and to be very supportive of the broader community. So thank you very much for listening to us. I hope you're enjoying the conference, and I know this is great food, and tonight there are some also great restaurants that I suggest you to try here in Lugano.
Can you hear me? I was gonna say what? Yeah, cut me off. I have one more announcement, which is Cantor is actually helping bring the Satoshi statue, which Valentina made amazingly, to the U.S. next month. #1.